Hello, my name is Jacob Monk, and welcome to this little video about a very interesting subject. Maybe you have thought about it, maybe you have heard somebody discussing it. It's very popular, especially among conspiracy theorists. And the subject is: Did Jesus ever live? Did Jesus ever live? Or is Jesus just a fantasy figure? And in this video, I'm going to give you three indications that, in my mind, makes it 99.99% sure that Jesus did live. Well, you can never say 100% because you don't know anything at all for 100% sure. I don't know if you exist, and you don't know if I exist. You don't know if Hitler did ever exist, if Churchill did ever exist, if Napoleon did exist, if Australia is existing. Well, you believe so, but you can never be 100% sure. And the same with Jesus, you can never be 100% sure, but you can be 99.999% sure. And I'll tell you why you have all the reasons to be 99.999% sure that Jesus was a historical figure. First of all, the story about Jesus is told not alone in the four Gospels. Also, the Jewish historian Josephus, he talked about Jesus. And in all the scriptures that was not accepted as parts of the Bible, for example, Thomas' Gospel and all Gospels that you can read buy in bookshops today, although they have never been a part of the Christian Bible. They're all talking about the historical Jesus. Of course, they don't agree exactly what he said. This can never be exactly replicated. Why? First of all, because no one had a tape recorder when Jesus was living. No one did record his speeches, so we have to believe the people memorizing what he said and later on writing it down. Well, therefore, we have four Gospels with different versions, not totally identical, but four different versions of what happened in Palestine with Jesus. We also know that Jesus was speaking Aramaic language, and you and I, we don't read Aramaic language. So Jesus' language was translated into Greek and into Latin. And the first Bible being published, it was around 450. The first Bible was published. It was called Vulgata. That means the common Bible, the Bible for all the people. And in this Bible, there you could read the four Gospels and the same scriptures as you read in the real Bible today. So we have many sources that can tell you about Jesus, tell you about what Jesus said. And the church has agreed to canonize, to make some of these sources the source of the Christian faith. And therefore we have the four Gospels that constitute the core of Christian belief today. Well, Jesus is, we can hear about Jesus from other sources than the Bible. That is argument number one. Argument number two: if you travel to Italy and Spain today, you'll find a lot of people being called Jesus. And the same was the case in Palestine 2,000 years ago. There was not only one Jesus, There were many Jesuses. I suppose some of them were ordinary people. Probably most of them were ordinary people. But why shouldn't one of them have been a prophet? I believe so. Maybe the stories we've heard about this specific Jesus, they are not exactly right. They have been misinterpreted. That can be, I don't know. But you can't say that no one was called Jesus 2000 years ago. Of course, many people were called Jesus, and the Jesus we read about in the Bible is only one of them. So, argument number 3. You can't make gigantic footprints in history if you don't exist. Well, we know that Jesus' apostles, they traveled all over what was called the world and 2000 years ago. Nobody knew about China, about Australia, about America, but we knew about the countries around Palestine and in Europe. And the apostles of Jesus, they traveled to what is today called Egypt, Tunisia, to all what is called the Middle East countries, and also to the European countries. And both Peter and Paul were killed and they are buried in Rome, where big churches have been built upon their graves. The Christians at that time, they certainly believed that Jesus was a real person. You can see it in the catacombs. They wrote drawings showing Jesus and his Holy Mother, Virgin Mary. So they believed Jesus was a reality. And today, Christianity is the biggest religion in the world, probably the religion with the biggest influence in the world, and certainly the religion with most followers in the world. How could this religion spread so fast and so great if it didn't begin with a real person? If there was only a fantasy? Well, I don't think you are going to win many followers just to follow a fantasy. That is not very easy. But if you have a prophet, have a son of God who can show his mercy, show his holiness, show his knowledge, make miracles, make speeches, make theology, then you have a good reason to believe that his followers will use their life to spread this message. And this was exactly what happened when the church started 2000 years ago. We also have to understand that the Christian church today is not dependent on if one or the other author or theologist or historian believed that Jesus was a historical person, because already year 324 the Christian church had its first council, Nicaean Council, where a lot of declarations was decided and the basic theological and organizational basis of the Roman Catholic Church was made. Today we have had 21 councils. The last was in the Vatican from 1962 until 1965. And between the first Nicaean Council and the last Second Vatican Council, we have had 19 other councils. And the church tradition is building on the tradition. Well, that's what I said. The church tradition, the third theology, is building on a tradition that is founded in the declarations made on these 21 councils. It's not based on the Bible, it's based on an interpretation of the Bible. And this interpretation was made at the councils, certainly after heavy guidance from the most learned historians, theologians, and philosophers of the age where this council was held, because there was close to one council every 100 years. So the church has continued renewing itself and updating its theology and its faith and its organizational structure in accordance with the changing times. This is the greatness of the Church of God that called itself God's people uh, on a walking tour. Well, I'm sorry, I don't know the exact way to say this in English. I'm a Dane, I'm coming from Copenhagen. Guds folk på vandring, it was called in Danish translation. The Roman Catholic Church in Second Vatican Council ending 1962 said that it was an organization, it was a network of the people of God wandering like a pilgrimage um, forward. That was the Christian church, and it has been that way all through these 2000 years. We are not dependent on what so-called scientists and theologicals believe about the historical Jesus, because we have decided what we believe, what version of the historical Jesus we are believing in. The church is built on a tradition. Well, I've said what I wanted. First, I have proved not 100%, but 99.999% sure that Jesus was a historical person. Second, I have shown you that we don't know a lot of details about the life of Jesus. That is for sure. We can't be 100% sure about every single word we read in the Bible that Jesus said. Maybe it has been translated a wrong way from Aramaic to Greek to Latin to English to Danish. Maybe some of these words are invented later on. I don't know. Probably Jesus, he said a lot of things that is not mentioned in the Bible. You can read the Thomas Gospel, and you can read other non-canonical texts about Jesus, and this will give you a more broad view of what Jesus was in reality uh, for a person. But the church believe what is written in the Bible, and the church believe what we have decided to be canonical faith. We have an apostolic declaration of faith that is the foundation of Christian faith. And this is what we believe. We certainly believe that Jesus was a historical, a real person. He was the Son of God. He was God in incarnated form. And he also had a mother called Virgin Mary. She was just as real as her son. And I pray to Jesus Christ and to Virgin Mary, because you're the foundation of the best religion in the world, the Christian religion. Thank you for listening.